Okay.
Yes. This helps me when I go to edit. Then everybody has their own audio track for the audio version.
So once it's over, we'll just stay on, right?
Yeah. Once we end, I'll hit end broadcast. It'll stop the live stream, and then it'll take like a few seconds after that. It's usually pretty quick.
Gotcha. Itachi's got a cool. Both of y'all have really cool backgrounds behind you.
Oh, so did, I mean, yours is fantastic too.
Yeah, I was
Like
gonna
the
say, yeah,
tarantulas behind you.
I
Like,
know. I forgot. Like,
that's the craziest thing.
oh, indeed.
you have the whole like I think it's Alexa, right? You could change your lights and stuff back there too.
Yeah, Alexa, turn the lights red.
Okay.
Oh wow, she's really loud.
It's so awesome. I love that. My lights I have to manually change or like push a button. I didn't even turn my thing on, my box thing.
Oh yeah.
I should do that, huh? Yeah, whatever. It's fine. It'll be okay. That's amazing. Okay.
Alexa, turn the lights purple.
Okay.
All right. You can
I
edit
gotta
those
give
out,
me one
Bonnie.
of those. There's no way I'm not getting that device and having that happen in this room.
Hey, you can get the little GE lights at Target and tell Alexa they plug in.
Guess where I work? Target.
Amazon, Target. Okay. I love Target, dude.
I do too. I realize it's definitely a different animal when you work there. 100%. Especially as an executive, you see a lot of stuff. You're like, oh, that's what be happening. No shade. I love where I work.
That's good. Not many people love what they do, so.
I do. I like what I do. It's sometimes tedious, but ultimately, I mean, it's very fun. Can't deny that.
I like working around other people. That's something you get to do for sure at Target.
Yeah, around far too many people, I will say.
Far too many.
Far too many.
there are a lot, probably.
Too many people.
Cool. All right. Are you both ready?
Oh yeah.
All right. And for this live recording, you won't hear any like music or anything. I do that. I just add that all like post for the audio version. So I don't have music cues. Anything fun like that. All right. Welcome to episode 15 of the TCCG Roundtable. We are your hosts, Dragonrider and Itachi. How's it going?
Hello. Good evening.
Hello. And this week we have a very special guest. So excited to have our friend TarantulaGraham. Graham, how's it going?
Going real well. Really, really happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me on.
Of course. Now, I actually learned a little bit about you and card games that I didn't know before we started this, so I'm excited to talk about even more. But can you start? We're going to start this off with a little bit of like interview style. Ask you some questions, just get a bit of background. What kind of got you into card games in the first place, and what card games like have you played or are you currently playing?
Well, man, so the first card game I was ever into was the original Pokemon, the base set when it came out, and it came out, when I was about 10ish. Third and fourth grade, and it was just like it was really the first big like trend, first big cultural trend that I ever really got into. All my friends in elementary school were buying and collecting all the cards, and it was just like it was the most hyped thing to do as a 10-year-old back in the late 90s, early 2000s. So that kind of got me into card games, and then from there. That kind of was the bridge to Magic the Gathering, which I kind of got into. I think it was more like just Pokemon got me into card games, and then Magic, the artwork of Magic, kind of put me there, and then Magic, I learned how to play Magic. When I was younger, 13, 14-year-old teenager, but I was collecting Magic since I was 10. So that's kind of how I got into them. Learned how to play Magic. Didn't really learn how to play Pokemon. It was more of a collector's thing. It was when I was younger. So that's kind of how I got into them. And what card games am I playing right now? Oh man. Still play a lot of Magic. Stream Magic. Stream Hearthstone. Got into Hearthstone like many years later. That first digital card game that I had ever played was Hearthstone, and I've been playing Hearthstone for about 22, 23 months. So,
Wait.
yeah, I love card games.
You hold on. You've only been playing Hearthstone for like 2 years or almost 2 years?
Yeah.
Wow. No, I definitely thought it was longer than that. That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, well, you kind of already alluded to it by mentioning that you do stream some of this stuff. So I'm kind of curious, like, what you said you kind of have gotten from like collecting some, playing some. Now you moved into content. Do you do like a ton of content? Do you do competitive at all? Like, do you ever travel for any of these card games? What is your kind of connection beyond just playing there for you?
Yeah, I was pretty competitive Magic player back in like 2014 to 2016. Went to a bunch of Grand Prix, competed in those. That was a lot of fun. Traveled around the Southeast to do that. In my off time, I work full time as an electrical engineer. But that was the last time I was really like competitive. The content part of it came up a couple years ago. I had a friend in distress who was streaming on Twitch. I didn't know what Twitch was. Really, I thought Twitch was like the ESPN of esports. That's kind of like how I didn't know. I didn't really know what content creation was. I didn't even know it was. I just total and utter novice. Still am. Yeah, that was a couple years ago. Got on Twitch, made a Twitch account, was monitoring my buddy, and he was going through some mental health issues, so he's doing much better now. But then I've got a bunch of exotic animals, exotic pets, and and a lot of my friends at the time, they were like, well, man, you should stream that. And I was like, well, sure. And my buddy was really into Hearthstone at the time, and he and some other folks that introduced me to Twitch introduced me to Hearthstone. So I started streaming Hearthstone just from the tutorial, like right when you download Hearthstone. That's kind of when my stream started. So you got to kind of see a person learn how to play Hearthstone who had a background in TCGs on stream, all live on Twitch. So that's kind of how I got into that. And then from there, it was interesting. I was able to branch out and do animal related content once I learned how content creation works on other platforms like YouTube and TikTok. So I've been kind of spearheading those efforts on those platforms as well. So it's been interesting, and Hearthstone is a very big part of that.
Sick. So in terms of your prowess in like Magic, Hearthstone, the games that you play, what do you feel like are some things that you've like, oh man, this is something that I've accomplished and I'm super proud of? Is there anything that you have that you kind of hold in a high regard?
I've never won any like Grand Prix or anything, but I've never done anything really competitively for Hearthstone. I stream mostly Hearthstone Arena, which is not a dead mode like Mercenaries. So, and everyone tells me Arena was. Everyone tells me that Arena was the most popular mode, and then I guess Battlegrounds kind of took it over. I don't know the history of all these things. This is just what people tell me, but. Too soon. But yeah, I was, I've won I've won prizes from Magic competitions. The last one I was in Atlanta in 2016, and I won like, I don't know, like a couple $100 or something, in prizes. And me and my buddies, we were just like, all right, well, we're just gonna get a couple boxes of Kaladesh and call it a day.
Yeah.
So it says, yeah. But yeah, so my proficiency is mostly in Magic. Like I've played Magic most of my life and very, very passionate about it. Magic just had a new release come out this week, Fire Actually All B1, which is huge because that's the third block, I guess you could say, from Mirrodin. If you know your Magic history. So yeah, big week for Magic this week. Big week for Hearthstone and I think Marvel Snap, which I've been getting into recently. Really fun game, very unique. Love the locations and the strategy there. So been trying to. I've actually gotten some folks from my community to teach me how to play Marvel Snap in the last week or two. So been enjoying that. And competitively with respect to Hearthstone, that whole esports aspect, that's kind of looks like that's kind of been kind of sad face, right? So
yeah,
Super
I don't know.
sad face.
Yeah. But I view Hearthstone more, it's got a really nice community around it, and that's what keeps me coming back to it. The game itself is fun. I think it's still the king of the digital card games. I don't know how long that's going to last. With all these other competitors, with MTG Arena and Marvel Snap and these others, you had Runeterra a couple years ago come in. How long can they remain king, Donnie?
I don't know. And I mean, and if Hearthstone loses the crown, at least you can say that it really kind of paved the way for all the rest of the digital card games, and that, kind of in a way brought about like the digital card game era, right? I think Hearthstone was really kind of the first. I think we've talked about this a little bit on random episodes for anybody who's been listening, but yeah, it's kind of interesting, like looking back and looking at that history. Technically, MTGO, Magic the Gathering Online, was around before Hearthstone, but it was very, very geared towards specifically people who like already played Magic. It didn't have that like wide audience appeal, a mobile aspect to just draw in like random people who like found it, on the Google Play Store or something. We're like, oh, what is this? And discovered card games through that. So yeah, it's been really interesting seeing kind of this whole, decade long at this point, journey of like digital card games and that era. It's been fascinating, and definitely content creation and like social media has influenced all of that as well. But thank you for sharing that history with us. For anyone who is listening on audio as well, just a frame of reference. Graham already mentioned about, reptiles and that kind of stuff. There is an entire 4-shelf display behind him of multiple cages with reptile. What do you have exactly? Can you just give us that real quick? What do you have in your repertoire there?
I've got 3 different snake species: a western hognose snake, and a ball python morph, imperator red-tailed boa morph from Brazil, 2 sugar gliders, both of which are rescues, 23 different tarantulas, emperor scorpion, an axolotl, blue-tongued skink, and that's pretty much it. Now, my cousin breeds a lot of these animals too, so I help him out, like if he needs storage, help with storage and that kind of thing. So yes.
So I'll just say I had no idea what a sugar glider was. So I went and looked it up, and it is very cute. And the first thing that I see on the screen is, should you keep sugar gliders as pets? So I'm just going to exit the screen, act like I didn't see it.
Should you keep sugar gliders as pets? If you have 2 of them and you're cool with them being nocturnal. Yep.
That's awesome. My youngest daughter wants an axolotl super bad.
Oh man!
So that's something that I'm gonna have to deal with at some point.
They're wonderful. They're easy to take care of. They're fully aquatic amphibians. So making sure that that it's the underwater chemistry is correct, is right for them. That's really the biggest hurdle with an axolotl.
It's not about a card game at all, but how do you change if you need to change your water for an axolotl? What do you do? Do you have to keep it in water where you take it out? Because like you said, it's fully aquatic, but it is amphibious. So
Yeah, so you got to get a pretty good multi-layered filtering system for the tank. Should be about 20 gallons. Mine's on a 20-gallon long, and yeah, and you have different media in those layers in the filter, and this is the filter that continuously recirculates the water in the aquarium like you would for a fish. And I've just got a seven layer or 5 layer with 7 different types of media, and the media is just like little like sponges with different chemicals that'll like absorb organic material. Axolotls are pretty lot of bio waste from axolotls in comparison to other fully aquatic animals. So it's really all about the filter. And if you ever have questions about that, I got you.
I've got a resource. I love it. That's the best part of this. I get to connect with people who know things that I wouldn't otherwise know.
Yeah,
happy to help.
Amazing. And you know what? I know you're like, it's not card game related, but you know what? None of us are card games. Okay, none of us are just card games. Like, we are multifaceted human beings. Okay, so
don't tell a Twitch chat that.
Well, you know what, Twitch chat. All right, like, you just never share any personal things then either. Okay, we'll be on the same page. All right, but absolutely, thank you for talking about that. I had to do that. So you know what? If you are interested in learning more about any of those aquatic amphibians, you want to know more about that, you want to know about card games, clearly Graham is incredibly intelligent. Also, would you say an electrical engineer as well? Like, I don't know. I feel like the stupid one on this podcast, honestly. I'm like, we always get like the smartest people on here. I love it.
There's not it's not a whole lot of intelligence here, but I try. So
there you go.
Not
That's all we can do. I will say that's all we can do. We just try. So anybody that's interested in any of that, we will definitely have the links and plug later in the show. We'll have them in, like, you can actually click the links in the show notes in the YouTube description if you're watching on YouTube. Check it out, and we'll also have Graham plug those a bit later in the show as well if you want to listen to that, so that you can find everything about Graham and what he's doing.
Too kind.
Good. Well, we kind of already mentioned a couple of these things. Let's get into some news here. We have a couple of things for Hearthstone here. They did announce essentially the last content update that is coming for that Mercenaries mode. It's, it probably was already kind of coming like a year ago. Ultimately, the mode's been out for like a year and 5 months. Or what are we in? Yeah, a year and 4 months.
4 months, yep.
Yeah, so, it's probably been a long time coming at this point, but still a little bit sad. A little bit sad to see that is the last content update. They'll still do little like bug fixes and that kind of stuff, but they're not going to do future
what would have prevented this?
What?
If they had listened to my suggestion from day one, make the mode playable in portrait mode so you can play it with your phone up as opposed to having to play it sideways. You can't play. Toilet games don't work sideways, right? That's not a thing. Mercenaries was a perfect toilet game if it was in portrait mode, so you could do it with one hand. You have to have one hand free for reasons that I don't need to get into. But like, if they had just made it portrait, it could have been so much more. Look at the screen on Mercenaries. There's so much wasted space on both sides of the screen. It never needed to be landscape. Anyway,
I think
that's my tangent.
Mercenaries, big missed opportunity. I hate it for content creators that are content creators that are full-time content creators. I remember Dawn actually it was last year, right? It came out was it last November or the November before? November before?
As I think October.
October 21.
Yeah, before that. Yeah.
I remember you saying something about doing like a podcast specific to Mercs, and you were kind of throwing that idea around. Every content creator that I know on YouTube and Twitch that are Hearthstone content creators, were so excited about this because it presented a big opportunity for them. If the game was popular enough, that would have been great for their content career.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, that's just not what happened on release and after. So I really hate it for them the most. You guys, I hate it could have been if it was more popular and more interesting and was released in a better manner, then it's just a big missed opportunity. And I played it. I streamed it. I streamed like an hour of it when it first came out, and it just seemed like a combination of some ideas, and none of them were really fully vetted. Kind of like duels.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that. Yeah, I did actually do I think we ran about 6-7-ish months. We actually did a Mercenaries
You
only
did it? Okay.
podcast. Yep. And yeah, like I said, ran that for like 6 or 7 months before we finally kind of were like, all of us were kind of coming to the conclusion, like it was just feeling kind of like a chore to do it. It wasn't as enjoyable. Like it was just a lot of things weren't working, and we were like, yeah, this is just not what we want to do anymore. So we stopped with the optimistic hope that we could pick the podcast back up, but ultimately it just kind of kept dwindling. I also did cast the day after the mode launched, and then again in January of 2022 I casted Mercenaries tournaments. So I casted 2 Mercenaries tournaments. I did a podcast. Like I was definitely in that group of like, I want this to work.
Right.
Cool idea, but yeah, there was a lot of missed opportunity with, like Itachi mentioned, like the look of things, a lot of really not so great monetary decisions that were made that just really put players off, and I think by the time they tried to kind of start repairing that, it was a bit too late by the time they got to do that. I
hate it. I hate it for the people who spent so much money. I think Dreads, one of my streamer friends on Twitch, he spent like 50,000 gold on mercs or something. Yeah. 50,000 gold.
He could have bought golden Nax Ramus and still had 40,000 gold left.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
So, it's again, like I said, it's kind of at this point, especially even kind of early on, many people probably would have expected this kind of thing to happen, that it really wouldn't last and stick around, but still a little bit heartbreaking to see them, shelve future content. So that did happen this week. But then I guess on the brighter side of Hearthstone news, just today, they did announce the next mini set, which is Return to Naxxramas. It is coming out today. Okay, by the way, today is the Thursday, February 9th. Okay, this is coming out Tuesday, February 14th. So it was 5 days. Definitely like predictable. I think they're kind of doing that much faster turnaround for, from an announcement to release for these mini set cards, because it's not very many cards. They just kind of want to get those reveals out quick and then get the content out to people. So that will be coming pretty interesting. I think, were we talking about this before we started recording? I think we were. That so Graham, since you've only been playing Hearthstone for the last like 2-ish years, you don't know what Nax is. You missed out.
I did. And like we talked about, I see Nax out everywhere all the time. Not just recently, but just every month I'll see it on any given social media talking about Hearthstone. So
yes. I think Itachi said, what did you say earlier? The 8-year running copy pasta, essentially, of Nax out.
It is, yeah. Nax out, baby. 8 years running.
Let's go. But now it's back. Like, we can legit, like, not copy pasta. We can say Nax out. So it's kind of interesting. They announced it. It's going to be 38 cards. Should be 3 cards for each class, and then, like, 5 neutrals. Something along those lines. Available for, some gold or a bit of runestones in game. There is a golden set that you can get, which now for the first time will be available to buy with in-game gold, which is what Itachi was just mentioning, that you can spend 10k gold to get that. The cool thing I like about it is it seems like they're mixing, so they're bringing back that Naxxramas, kind of nostalgia thing that was the first kind of content that released after the initial Hearthstone game came out. But they're mixing it and adding things in. We got a location revealed and a colossal, which are both relatively new mechanics to Hearthstone and new things. So pretty interesting that they're kind of taking like the old and mixing it with some new stuff and putting that all together.
Do you know that they released another card as well? I know that they released Syndragosa and then the location and the I think it was the Rhyme Scale Siren 3-mana 2/3 that freezes. They also released another card.
Yeah, a
and I don't think it's listed.
Horseman-based card.
The Horseman card is hilarious because of I think it's like a Baron Revendare. It's just Baron Revendare, War Rider, or something like that. Where it's like Death Rattle, shuffle the other 3 horsemen into your deck, and then every horseman says, if the other 3 horsemen died this game, destroy the enemy hero. It's like an OTK or an insta-kill. And then with a Shaman card, people were talking about the Shaman card that summons a copy of each minion in your hand, and then they all die. So you just draw them all. And then play the 10-mana Shaman card, and you win the game.
That's so slow and so many cards you need to make it happen. But
is it? Okay, listen. All right, I know we got stuff to talk about, but let's just. You have a card in Shaman that draws 2 minions and then summons 2 taunts. So not only do you draw the cards, but you protect your life. Shaman's already got pretty good control tools. So you take most of the minions out of Shaman, put in all the control spells and draw spells, and you play Revendare and you win the game.
I like where his head's at.
I'm just saying, listen, it's possible that you win the game on 10. Because if you think about it, like aggro decks kind of suck right now. Like, don't aggro decks kind of suck?
What meta are you playing, sir?
Aggro decks are kind of there's no face hunter. There's like aggro mage, which isn't really aggro because it plays a 6-mana board clear card. That's not aggro. That's not true aggro.
Unholy DK is like.
It's like old token shaman. It's like old token shaman. It's aggro kinda.
Well, you can't ask if aggro decks are good and then just change the definition.
Name
or pick a different
okay.
definition of aggro.
What's name 4 aggro decks? Go make a lineup of 4 aggro decks.
Right now or just in general?
Right now. Currently in the meta. Name 4 aggro decks and make a conquest lineup.
Well, I would never do that in the first place.
Why?
But why?
The aggro decks are terrible. Is that
no?
Because
bringing 4 aggro decks to a conquest has like never worked out.
That's how. Yes, it does. That's how you win. You win tournaments with 4 aggro decks if it's good.
Oh my god. Well, okay. Well, I don't apparently, but all right.
All right. Well, listen. All I'm saying is a control deck when people are playing stuff like Savannah Priest that just like steals a bunch of cards, and there's like Control Paladin that's everywhere, and then there's these the Blood Death Knight deck is popping up more because people are trying the crappy aggro decks and they're losing the Blood Death Knight. And then there's Miracle Rogue, which is not an aggro deck. It's not a control deck. It's just kind of put a big minion out or a big weapon out, and then Shaman can just deal with the minion of the weapon. All I'm saying is give it a chance. 10 mana, win the game. Easy.
All right. Well, I am interested to see if that's how it happens, but yeah, it's the whole premise of all this is, the new mini set was revealed. They've already started revealing some new cards. By the time I think that we end up, recording our next episode, we'll probably already have the expansion out. So like the mini set. So fast turnaround. Going to be pretty interesting to talk about that. Any other thoughts there before we move on?
Max out.
He's got it. Yeah. Let's go.
I will simply say Pinflinger. That's all I'll say. Pinflinger.
Always Pinflinger.
All right.
There's a running joke because on our team, when we do set reviews, every time a set comes out, and when the set came out with Skullman's came out with Pinflinger, I was like, "The card is nuts! It's bananas! I can't believe that they released this card." And everyone else was like, "This card is terrible," and that card was bonkers. Pinflinger was insane.
It was pretty. Yeah, Pinflinger's. I get mad when I die to Pinflinger. I mean,
See, you can't even die to it anymore because
Well,
they
yeah,
nerfed it
because it was too good.
because it was so
They
insane.
had to nerf it.
So insane. Anyway, that's all I had to say.
All right. Well, then next up, we do have MTG. Graham already mentioned this earlier. Right, Phyrexia, all will be one, released in MTG Arena on February 7th. So that is already out there and coming out in stores so for physical tomorrow, February 10th. So that is happening right now. Have you been playing in MTGA and checking that out? How's that been going?
yeah, I played some MTGA the other night, actually, kind of getting ready for its physical release. And I'll probably go do some tournaments I don't know. Usually there's like a release tournament, limited tournament at your local, at your LCG local card game store. So I might go check that out, man. The new Phyrexia set looks amazing. And there's a new mechanic called Toxic, if you're a Magic player, that, it's kind of like Infect. So if you get 10 poison counters, you die, you lose. So really, really interesting. And, if you know your Magic lore, having Phyrexia, come back into the game itself is really exciting. So
I want to learn more Magic lore. I wish they would make some kind of story or something readable that's like just talks about the lore. I love stuff like that.
So there are some really good podcasts for that, and I can link those to you if you want, if you're interested.
Oh, sick! Yeah, send me those.
Yeah.
Oh. Yes. That's amazing. I know it's kind of interesting. Like, I feel like some card games or card games in general do tend to have some sort of like lore behind them, but in terms of like a whole fleshed out behind the scenes lore, like Magic has always seemed like one of those that's really up there for how much they have.
Yeah, I've got some Magic novels. Magic has been, the Wizards before they were purchased or before they merged with Hasbro. They would make for every set that came out, they'd have a novel for it. Going all the way back into the 90s. So, like, there's a rich history of lore there, and I didn't really get to experience that with Hearthstone. I played World of Warcraft like most people for years, and got to experience the lore there. Warcraft 3, but Hearthstone's lore, I guess it doesn't seem as robust as Magic's. But of course, it's only been out for 8+ years too, so. I don't know if there's ever been like a Hearthstone novel, or if Hearthstone has its own specific lore, or if it's all just based on WoW.
So, I mean, some of it is based on WoW, but they always have their own little like flair on things, right? Like even some of the characters in Hearthstone are specific to Hearthstone, but I definitely feel like they kind of approach that lore and the storytelling in a bit more of like subtle ways. Like some of the storytelling is through like the voice lines of cards. Instead of it just being like a direct, like, bam, here's your lore, like shove it in your face. Like they do it very subtly, which is kind of nice for people who know that lore or pick up on that, but not so good for people who like, oh, this has no lore because it's not
the story modes. The story modes is kind of where I get the lore aspect of it. Yeah,
it used to be solo adventures like League of Explorers and stuff like that. It was so cool to like hear all the Finley and Elise and Reno lore and all that stuff.
Yeah, and that's what my buddies who played Hearthstone before me told me as well. They really enjoyed this mode called Dungeon Run. They loved Dungeon, and I guess there was lore associated with that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they've definitely tried to approach the lore in a couple of different ways like that over the years. I think some of it has been kind of hit or miss for people, and some of it people just they don't care, so it's just like skip, or just do the fights. They don't pay attention to the lore at all. Just get them through it. But
Yeah.
it is there for people who do want to. But
Yeah, I got a sense of that with the Murder at Castle Nathria expansion. So there's more like Denathrius and all that. That was cool.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, absolutely. All right. This next one, Itachi, correct me if I'm wrong. That's today, February 9th, the release of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Photon Hypernova.
Yeah, so it street dated today, fully legal today. And the sneak preview for that was this past weekend. And for every sneak preview, like when you enter a sneak preview, you get 5 packs and you get this cool little field center card. It essentially marks the center of the field because columns in Yu-Gi-Oh! Are relevant. So like where you play a card is actually relevant. And so it's interesting. No, I'll say interesting. It tells you where I am with the game because like most people enter the sneak preview like once or twice, maybe. You usually can't enter more than once or twice per store. So you have to like travel to multiple stores. And you only get one field center per entry, like this little cool field center card. And it's the only place that you can get it. And so if you just take notice that I entered a lot.
How many
so
is that?
there's that.
He just like fanned an
I don't know.
entire
I
huge
didn't count.
handful of them.
Well, I mean, card player, we've got we've always got cards nearby.
See, you can
Yeah.
cards nearby.
Yep, me looking at 3 different Flesh and Blood decks on my
What?
desk right now. Yep.
Flesh and blood, man.
Knew it.
Yeah.
I need to learn how to play that, and I need to learn how to play Yu-Gi-Oh!
From that sneak preview.
Oh my god, yeah.
You've come to the right
and then
place.
I've got totally just like printed out. What's the word I'm thinking of? Proxied.
Proxies.
Yeah, BSS, Battle Spirit Saga cards. It's not even out yet, but I'm already trying to like proxy those and start learning and playing. So I got those right there too. We really do. Like always have cards nearby. It's funny.
We love them.
That's right. So how many did you already go get yourself some new cards then besides that one, Itachi?
Hold on, somebody calling me on my phone.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
tons and tons and tons.
What?
They're literally
He's
right here.
holding up
There's tons
decks
and tons
of cards to his ears like they're like the phone.
This is just open packs and sorted stuff before I put it all into bulk. Yeah, it's just a lot of stuff. Some of it's already sorted. There's a lot. If you looked at my desk, you'd be like, "Dang, that's a lot of cards." So we're not gonna do that.
Oh my god. That's
Photon
okay.
Hypernova. What a name.
Oh, there's some
It is.
there's some names in Yu-Gi-Oh! Let me tell you.
Tell me about it. Like some of those, man, I've been trying to follow like as many card games as I can, right? And some of them, I think you added one in for the organized play, but like One Piece and oh my god, I can't even think of like.
Ooh, I've been
there's-
seeing some One Piece stuff on Instagram.
Dude,
Some of
there
those
is.
cards look great.
It's going. Digimon is pretty popular for card games and stuff too. But like some of those names, I'm just like, what in the world? like you got like XS and then some numbers or like BS numbers, and I'm just like, what is happening? I don't know what any of this means. Like I'm trying to understand. I'm looking at it and I'm like, it just looks like some weird like code or something that I just don't understand.
It is. It's all code for I'm gonna get back to Worlds this year. That's what it is.
Hell yeah. Yes. I know you are. I know it.
Back to World.
I'm just like I'm already prepping the tweet, sir. I'm already
It's in
prepping the
Japan
tweet.
also. So 2013, 2013 when that last happened it was also in Japan. So this year it's in Japan again. So
Wait, isn't the Pokemon Worlds in Japan this year too?
yes.
Oh man.
And this year, first time ever, that DreamHack is having a DreamHack in Japan. What?
Japan is just popping.
Hey, Japan's
It
popping
is.
this year of the
I
rabbit,
love-
baby. 2023.
Dang.
Japan is popping off.
I'm like a Japanophile, dude. I have way too much manga downstairs, so
Oh my gosh.
way too much.
Oh, it's amazing.
Hey, you got to get it how you
Nothing wrong with
live. I used to be a huge manga person, but now I can only watch anime because I don't have the patience to read anymore.
I got the patience. I'm just running out of the money to keep buying them. I had to go to IKEA and buy a new bookshelf the other night.
Oh
So.
my gosh. Oh.
That's cool. A lot of stuff going on in Japan, huh?
Yeah, sounds like it. Dang.
For
Well,
card games.
Well, let's wrap up the news here with a little bit more of the digital card game, which is some Marvel Snap news. A couple different items here. We have the new season launched a few days back on February 6th. It is, what is it called? Into the Quantum Realm. I was like, I'm not going to include the title. And then as I'm saying it, I'm like, I want to say the title. That's how my brain works. So yes, Into the Quantum Realm. The new movie is coming out this month as well. So they definitely have tied it all together, right, with all of the Marvel universe movie releases and all of that. So tied it all together with that, but huge, honestly, like huge season and release. I was looking through that blog post. We'll have that linked as well, but man, there are new cards, new locations, new variants, all sorts of stuff. There, the new cards that are coming out, they said they're going to be releasing a new card every single week. Like, they're doing all sorts of stuff. We talked last week about them dropping that battle mode. Now they're doing this. And then the other piece of news is that they also did do a patch to change two cards, Zabu and Silver Surfer. So they did update those. Tachi's giving a thumbs down. But like huge like content drops there for Marvel Snap. So wow.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's gonna be, it's all kind of coalescing in the month of February where we have this new film coming out that I'll probably be going to see the night it comes out.
Yep.
I love Marvel. I really do.
Same. I'm a huge
I mean,
Marvel.
all my everything I have is, there's Spider-Man. You can see Spider-Man right there. Everybody calls me Spider-Man because I have a bunch of spiders. So,
oh my god.
But yeah, that's very exciting stuff there.
Yeah.
And sorry about Silver Surfer.
No, it's fine. You do what you got to do. It needed to be nerfed. It was an absurd card. Like, it was really absurd.
Yeah.
I think I also saw that they are putting out, I don't know if it's out already or not. Let me, they were releasing, what is it, like, I can't remember, some cosmetic thing. Now I can't remember what it was. Oh my gosh. Brain. Like, I just saw this earlier.
Brain's not agreeing.
It is not. Here we go. The Gotti card back and title. Because they had won the Game of the Year for mobile.
Mm-hmm.
So they won that Best Mobile Game award at the Game Awards. So they were releasing the 1,000 credits and a mystery variant for everyone. And then said that was back in December, mid-December. They had shared that and then said that they planned to gift a Gotti card back and title early next year. So they have just announced, within the last day, that they are delivering that Gotti card back and the title to people's inboxes now. So people should be getting that, in the next day or two, if it should be all popping up. But yeah, that's pretty interesting. Just so much. Like, they're just doing so much content. I am so curious to just like watch this evolve, because I feel like the amount of content and the amount of things that they've been doing is just like absolutely mind blowing. And can they keep up with that amount of release? Because they've been doing so much.
Yeah, it's monthly. It's a lot of stuff every month.
Yeah. I could talk about Marvel Snap for forever, but they seem to be listening to the community. They seem to be giving the community what they want, what it wants, giving feedback. I mean, there have been some bumps along the way, right, since their release. But from a content perspective, I think that there's a lot to Marvel Snap.
Yeah. The only thing that I'm struggling with is the financial aspect of it, or what they're trying to create as a financial aspect. Everything that they have posted in their shop, aside from I think one bundle, has been really, really expensive.
Yeah, I got introduced to that this week. I haven't spent any money on the game, but $100 for the currency, the gems, right?
So yeah, I actually had a come to Jesus moment. Like, I am not buying this because I wanted like the brood that was in my shop, and I was like, oh, I could just get the collector's tokens if I buy the bundle. And then I was like, I'm not doing that. There's no, like, I'm not spending $100. That's crazy. $5, all right, cool. $100 for access to one card, and it's like a card that's random at that. So with the token collector shop, like,
yeah,
it's tough.
Yeah, I mean, MTG Arena, you're going to have to spend a decent amount to get whatever the top meta decks are in the next couple of weeks with Phyrexial for 1 too. So yeah, it's just that pay to win is touted and talked about so much, but
so I don't mind when a game is like pay to win quickly. So like, you can do well without paying. You can do well quicker. I mean, that's any game. Like, if I want to play Yu-Gi-Oh, I'm gonna have to pay for a good deck if I want to play and compete quickly. That's fine. But pay to have fun, enjoy the game, play the cards, that's kind of sucky, right?
Yeah.
That's what I don't like. And then pay to have a chance. It's not like you can pay to guarantee cards or guarantee currency to get specific cards. It's like guaranteed currency to get a card that comes up once every 8 hours that might be the card you want, that might not be. Obviously, that's a big deal, especially like if I need 2 cards for a deck, you're really screwed because that's going to take forever.
Yeah, agree 100%. You shouldn't have to pay to have fun, but if you want to pay to get a competitive advantage early on,
sure, yeah,
keywords,
exactly.
then by all means.
Yeah.
So like the rewards track, right, where you get MODOK at track at 1 if you pay. You instantly get MODOK if you pay the $10. At 50, you get a MODOK variant. I would propose you get MODOK at 1 if you pay. You get MODOK at 50 if you don't pay. So like, it takes a fair amount of the month to progress through the rewards track. You should still be able to access the card, I would think. But like, if you want to start playing MODOK, or last month it was Zabu, before that Silver Surfer, on day 1, all right, you pay your $10.
Yeah. But you should still have access eventually if you grind it out.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's what the month is all about. The month is all about Quantumania. It's all about like the MODOK, Ant-Man, all the Wasp, all that stuff. So yeah, I think not getting the card at the end of the month if you didn't pay the $10 is just kind of like, sucks to be you, I guess. And then it goes to Series 5, which is 6,000 collector's tokens, which might as well be $4,000 or whatever equivalent in currency.
Yeah. The way that you just suggested it work is literally how I thought it did work back in October when it launched and I started playing. The first time I looked at that season thing, I was just like quickly kind of glancing through everything, and I was like, oh, look, cool. At the end, you get the card. Because I think Hearthstone had kind of trained me that way, where like their reward track, at the end of the reward track, you get, a big portrait or a special card or something, or you unlock something like, and there's extra stuff, of course, with the paid, but like there's that benefit of getting to the end of the reward track for the season or for the, expansion. So like, yeah, my brain saw that and was like, that's how it works. And then somebody told me in chat, no, that's not how it works. And I was like, oh, well, that's less exciting. Like for me, who doesn't plan on buying those season passes, I was like, oh, okay.
So no, but I think Marvel Snap's in a good place. Either outside of that, the financial thing, that's the only real complaint that I have. Like, I can't really. Everything else is pretty fun. So
Yeah, I'd love to pick y'all's brains at another point in time about Marvel Snap and content creation. So,
Yo, we could call an audible if you want, Don. I'm just saying, I don't mind.
We could do that. If we want to talk about that, we can talk about that. We could do that for our main topic. We can kind of shift gears a little bit on that. If you want to talk about that now too, that is completely fine.
Just if you guys, I just love to hear your opinions on it. At some point, it doesn't have to be today. It doesn't have to be right now.
No time like the present. No analysis through paralysis. I say call the audible.
So, I've got some friends who, have
wait. Hold that thought. I don't mean to interrupt you. Hold that thought. I'm going to do the competitive news, and then we'll jump into Snap. Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'll do competitive news real quick. Talk about what's going on in the competitive landscape. So most recently, Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship Series Las Vegas. That is next weekend, February 18th and 19th. That's going to be a 3v3 team tournament. This weekend, however, there are two separate YCS's Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship Series going on. That's going to be YCS Lyon. It's going to be in France. And there's also YCS Mexico City, which is a 3v3 team YCS as well, in Mexico City, Mexico. I've got friends that are going to both. What's interesting is the next bit of news is that Yu-Gi-Oh! Dropped the Forbidden and Limited list that goes into they released that list yesterday. It goes into effect on February 13th, which is next week. So this week, it will be the competitive format that we have currently been in since like October. And then after next week, so for YCS Las Vegas, it'll be a completely different format. So it puts you in this competitive position where you've been practicing for the current format that we're in because we're so close to two back-to-back events. You're like, oh, they're not going to release a list. But because they're Yu-Gi-Oh! And they're Konami, they release a list. But they put it dead set in the middle. So you have to practice for one event and also consider the practice for the next week's event, which is a totally different format. The best deck for this weekend is completely neutered after the ban list. Like it's unplayable after the ban list. So like you're practicing the best deck for this week, hoping to win. And then next week you have to play a completely different deck. So that's very interesting that they did it that way. I would have thought that they would have had it go into effect this week so that both events would be new format, but who am I? Also in Las Vegas next weekend will be the One Piece Treasure Cup, one of the first big events for One Piece. It'll be at the Las Vegas Expo Center. So if I do go to Vegas, I'll be buying 3 structure decks to play in One Piece. It's the Swiss rounds of One Piece. I read through their event guide or whatever. They're all best of ones. So yeah.
What?
Everyone, I don't know if I've expressed it a lot, but I despise best of ones. It's why I don't want to play Pokemon TCG. Best of ones are insane. No way. Especially in a game where, I don't know if you guys have played One Piece, but it's kind of like a mixture between Hearthstone Magic and Pokemon. It's got some interesting elements. It's definitely fun. There is some luck involved for sure. So like thinking of a luck game, like imagine playing ladder as a tournament, because obviously ladder is all best of ones. That's just doesn't sit right with me. So yeah, that's the One Piece Treasure Cup, Las Vegas, February 18th and 19th. Next piece of news I've got is Pokemon Regionals Orlando. That was this past weekend. Wolf VGC, the previous Pokemon World Champion, super popular content creator, won the VGC Regionals. Wolf is a prominent player, very highly regarded. So it was awesome to see him win, and he made some very interesting team choices that I definitely wouldn't have seen coming when I was looking into the landscape for this regional. I know that they introduced Series 2, which allowed different Pokemon and stuff like that. So he won with a very unique lineup. I don't think anybody played anything quite like him, and it showed. So that was awesome to watch. And last piece of competitive news is Battle Spirit Saga announced launch events March 24th through 26th in Las Vegas, London, Melbourne, Australia, and a to-be-decided location in Latin America with $350,000 prize pools and on-site pickup for product. More details still coming out for that, coming up in a couple of months now. So we'll see how that works out. Battle Spirit Saga putting a lot of money into the competitive landscape. We talked about a couple of weeks ago or last week how putting all that money into the competitive landscape might bite you in the foot because your casual people are the ones who really pay money into your game. That's where you get your bread and butter from. Competitive people are good enough to usually create enough revenue or winning locals or stuff like that to get the cards that they need to play. So a little bit different.
Yeah, they did open up the like registration for the events at this point now, and they've also announced or revealed, because as part of registering for those events, like the actual competing, if you want to just get a ticket to go and compete and like basically register, it's actually free, which is kind of cool because, you know, I feel like a lot of tournaments, there's also like always some sort of entry fee. They're not having any sort of sign up fee or any fee to actually play. But with that, since it's this whole launch thing and they're doing this as part of registration, you can like kind of essentially pre-order your product. But they did put limits on it. The boxes of booster packs, they are limiting to 8 boxes per person at a max. And each person can get 2 of each of the 4 starter decks max. So they do have that limit in place. But with that, they kind of essentially revealed or announced the like pricing on that. And from what I've been seeing as I've been trying to follow that, it sounds like they are a little bit pricey, but also I feel like card games in general kind of already have that like a little bit higher price tag. And more recently, you know, we've hit huge inflation in like every aspect of just like buying stuff, right? Like inflation's gone up, just like the markets for a lot of stuff are getting a little pricey. So I wasn't really surprised to myself to see the cost of the things, but they did announce that. So, you know, yeah, that's coming. And I believe that the 350 is also split across the few those few locations. I think it's 150,000 for the Las Vegas event. And then that other 200,000 is split up amongst those other ones. But the Vegas one is looking to be like the biggest that they have up to 1,024 players that can sign up for that. And the other ones are a bit smaller, like half that size. So pretty interesting. I want to sign up and go, but unfortunately, it's just, you know, to be able to still travel to the event, even though the event has no fee, still have to have money for all of the cards, to travel there, hotel, you know, food, all that stuff. And
life of a gamer, you got to make decisions.
Yeah. Well, you know, being able to buy food that's not there, like that I can have at home, you know, and you know, like kind of still keep this roof over my head is it's taking a bit of precedence over
food,
that right now.
roofs. Who needs those when you can just, you know,
that's
have an arbitrary, you know,
wait, what was that?
Card next. That was a Pikachu VMAX
V-Star. Yeah. Let's see.
Oh, that looks sweet.
Do you know I have here a souvenir from Pokemon Worlds in London? I have the deck box from Worlds.
Itachi, are you a Pokemon guy too? Oh,
I am.
Man. Oh, dude, I've got a whole vault of unopened product in my closet. We don't need to get on to any tangents. I got. Oh man, yeah.
Is that a booster box?
That's Lost Origins, just box. Yeah, we open them on stream. I've got a channel redeem.
Oh, good. I was gonna say content. Let's go. You already got it.
Always.
We love Pokemon, man.
I've got. If you look back here, I've got booster boxes, ETBs. Behind there's more stuff. There's
you got a vault too, huh?
Yeah, and then there's a bunch of stuff over on the other side of the room, just completely unopened.
Do you play competitive? Are you a player too, or
I will play Orlando Regionals, and then not Orlando Regionals. I will play Knoxville Regionals and see how that goes.
Okay.
When is that again?
It is end of February, February 27th. I want to say.
Well, good luck, man.
I was like, why didn't we have that in our notes?
I can't find my calendar, but I think it's February 27th is when it is. It's in my city, so no way I don't go, and I'm going to play
24th? 24th, 25, 26?
Yeah, so that weekend,
That's the
whatever
last
that
weekend of
weekend
the
is.
February. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm gonna play probably Genesect Mew and see how it goes.
Genesect Mew. And are you out of Knox Vegas?
Yes.
Oh,
That's where I reside.
Yeah, I live in North Carolina.
You're not far.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of for work. I know a bunch of people that live in Knoxville. Knoxville's a cool place, man. Cool place. That's cool, man. Good luck on that tournament.
I appreciate it. I'm gonna give it what I got.
Casual, I just want to put this out there. The beginning of this year, you were like, I'm going to stop playing Hearthstone so that I can focus on Yu-Gi-Oh! And now already, it's the freaking middle of February. You've already qualified for Yu-Gi-Oh! Nationals. You're talking about competing in Pokemon and One Piece. Like, it's just
teach me One Piece. I want to learn One Piece.
I don't know it yet. I'm just, like I said, I would literally just pick up 3 structure decks and play. Like I've never actually physically played. I've only seen people play, and my friends who are going to Vegas are like, you should play One Piece. But I'm like, if I go to Vegas, I'm gonna play Yu-Gi-Oh! And so we'll see.
Do you have to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Though? Because you've already qualified for nationals, right? So
I have.
Would you still play?
I have never won a Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship series, so a YCS. I've never actually won one. And I really would like the prestige of winning such a large event. And so, yeah, that's what that is. Regionals are like regional level events. They're like in the maybe like 4 or 5 surrounding states usually show up. Anyone who's like less than a 6-hour drive. But YCS is people come from like out of the country. They're usually like 1,500 plus players. And regionals are usually like 200 to 300, maybe 500 at the most. Unless you play in like New York or Philadelphia, then they're like 1,000 people. So yeah,
the last Magic Grand Prix I went to had at least 6,000-7,000 people, and that was back in 2016. So
yeah,
people come in, but it sounds like this. What do you call it, YCS? That sounds like a bigger, more international. I guess those step up from whatever a Grand Prix equivalent is for Yu-Gi-Oh.
They're about this. They're pretty similar.
Yeah, it sounded like it. That's cool, man. That's exciting. I wish I do wish I learned Yu-Gi-Oh! At some point. I watched the show. I never got into the cards.
I didn't sometimes.
Same thing about Magic. I'd be a much richer man.
Same.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So to get into the roundtable topic of the week, since we have called on Audible, love football, by the way, big Alabama fan.
You're a big Alabama. I'm the biggest Alabama fan in the world.
Well, fan / alumni, but yeah.
Alumni. No, hold on now.
That's where I went.
Rammer, Jammer, Yellowhammer, give them
hell, Alabama. That's where I'm from, man.
I could, man. Me and Itachi, we gonna be friends.
Yeah, we gonna.
My dad got recruited by Bear Bryant.
Really?
Yeah, back in the late 60s.
Podcast is over, guys. We just gonna chat about.
He's gonna talk about K Kona. We. No. But seriously, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, would have never
Roll
known.
Tide, baby. Hey, we'll get there next year.
I don't get to say it much. I live in Tennessee. I live in Knoxville, Tennessee, so I'm right by UT, and I just moved here from Louisiana, and I worked in Baton Rouge, so I got to watch LSU win a national title, and then I moved here and I get to watch Tennessee beat Alabama for the first time in decades. So
that game was stolen. I don't need to go on any tangents, but I was upset. I was not a good the game got stolen from us. Anyways,
so roundtable topic, we've called an audible as something brand new here. We're going to talk about, because everybody who's played any card game, our original topic, I will say, was time commitments in card games. Everybody who's played any card game can really, really speak to the time commitment that it takes to do well in that card game. So I feel like we'll save that for someone who doesn't have a topic in mind. But since you're our guest and you want to pick our brains about Marvel Snap and the direction that it's going in and the ins and outs of the game, what do you feel? We're going to pivot that way. We're going to talk about Marvel Snap. We actually played Marvel Snap Battle Mode last week on the stream during the podcast. We played a couple of games. What's your brain saying about the game currently? What do you feel?
The battle mode, that sounds So that's. I mean, you guys alluded to earlier. You know, the battle mode. They're really putting a lot of effort into just content generation, updates, communication, all the things that I would think that a content creator for a given game in a particular gaming niche. In this case, it's the card gaming niche across whatever platform that content's coming out on. You know, these are all things you want to see, right? I mean, you know, those are all healthy things, and I know it's a new game, right? So it's obviously it's going to have that support. It's weird. You juxtapose what's going on, what the news we got with Mercenaries, right, and how much effort was put into that, and then you juxtapose that with Snap and how frequently Snap is coming up with content and, you know, talking to us and getting feedback and wanting to make a better game. You know, if I'm a full-time content creator, I'm looking at that going, you know, maybe that's where I need to be instead of Hearthstone, instead of Magic, instead of you know, insert, you know, game here. And I think you see that with a lot of the creators that have actually made what looks like a move from Hearthstone, because we're all, you know, largely Hearthstone people, to Marvel Snap. You look at Dexter, look at D Money. I mean, you look at a lot of these streamers on Twitch, at least, and it looks like they've been having a lot of success with that. So, you know, you kind of ask yourself, well, you know, what do you do in that situation? You know, do you kind of divide your time? Do you only focus on this new game? I'm just curious what you guys think about those ideas.
So for me, I think Snap has benefited from a one Ben Brode quite a lot.
Yeah,
I think having come from the Hearthstone community where we complain about everything, Hearthstone players complain about anything, I have noticed. Learning how and what to listen to, I think, has become an important characteristic and probably been ingrained in the head of Ben Brode. Also being such a great people-facing, crowd-facing personality that he is, it's hard to put your face out there the way that Ben likes to do and not hear all of the feedback, right? And so I think that they get the feedback and they have to adjust because their game is playing based. Like, you've got to play the game in order to give enough of a crap to pay the money to keep the game sustained, right? So I think it's like the microtransactions, the little gold purchases. I don't think that like I talked about the large bundles. I don't think that's where they're trying to make their money. I think that's a targeted audience that they're looking at. But I think the microtransactions with small gold purchases and stuff like that, the monthly pass that you got to pay $10 to access the card, otherwise it makes it impossible to get for months on end, is where they make their bread and butter at. And so if you're invested in the game and you're playing the game and you're enjoying the game, you're going to pay the $10 to have access to the cool new card for the month. You're going to pay it at the beginning of the month. On the first of the month, Marvel Snap's going to pay rent because everybody's going to buy that season pass and they're going to get their new card and then they're going to go have fun. If you look on Twitter right now, there's a bunch of MODOK decks. I'm building a MODOK deck currently. Well, I was, but I just pulled that screen up just to show you that that's what I was doing before we even started. So like, that's the draw of I can't even call it a gacha game, because a gacha game wants you to buy multiple things all the time. Like, every time you log in, it wants you to buy something new. Marvel Snap doesn't want you to buy something new every time you log in. It wants you to buy something once a month.
Like a subscription.
It's a subscription-based game. It's almost it's like RuneScape, where you pay your monthly membership fee and you keep it pushing. So I think they've put themselves in a really good place to for longevity's sake. I do think that the interface of the game has to change. I think it's very rudimentary and primitive looking almost. I can't call it primitive, but I think that the interface does have to change and kind of glamorize itself a little bit more to appeal to the masses long term. Because one of Hearthstone's biggest appeals is the cards feel like more than just cards. They feel like characters. They feel like they're coming alive in the game. They feel like it's almost like a simulator that you're playing more than a card game sometimes. Whereas Mercenaries didn't have that feel. not battlegrounds, but this game, Marvel Snap, doesn't necessarily have that feel either. Even though some of the cards are animated and you get like your upgrades and you make your cards look really cool. And I will say Infinite cards look really cool, but just the game itself, the home screen is kind of laggy. There's a lot of
bugs.
small kinks that they got to work out to get there in terms of longevity's sake, in my opinion. But gameplay wise, there's length in the gameplay because there's so many small intricacies. When do you snap? What is my opponent playing? And that 12 cards are what feel like infinite possibilities once you get to a certain level. Obviously, when you're in Series 1 and Series 2, somebody plays a discard card, you know what's going on. Somebody plays like a card like Sentinel, you know you're facing Devil Dinosaur. But once you get up in ranks and you start customizing and doing different things with your decks, you start to realize that 12 cards is so filled to the brim with possibilities of what you could have your deck doing. It's, you know, they've got all these cards that cost 3. Is this going to be Silver Surfer? These cards also have similar attacks. Is this going to be Cerebro? Am I going to get Cerebro Mystique? Or are they going to, you know, what's the play? Can I snap? Am I safe? I recently learned, I didn't know this, if you snap on the final turn of the game, you can't concede. You can no longer retreat. If you're the last person to snap, you can't retreat. But if you snap first and then the opponent snaps after you, you can retreat.
Yeah.
So that's something I learned new. Anyway, I went off on a tangent for like 4 minutes just now. All of that to say that, like, I think it's positioned in a good space. I think they've got some kinks to work out. And I think that if they do that, they position themselves, because Marvel's on a tear right now with everybody being invested in their characters, in their series, in their movies, Disney Plus. And I know that Lorcana's coming out with a physical. Lorcana's a physical card game, right?
Yeah, Disney Lorcana is a physical card game. It'll be coming out.
So
that's fall.
That's going to be the physical aspect, and I'm sure that it'll include some Marvel characters since they own the rights. But in terms of digitally, there's a lot of space in the digital card game atmosphere, I think, for a very good digital card game that's easily playable, quick games. Don't have to invest a ton of time each day to play. You can do your dailies, enjoy the game, log out, but you still, at the end of the day, you're still going to buy your $9.99 subscription because you want to play with the cool cards. So that's my 2 cents, or maybe 4 or 6 cents after all I said. But yeah,
some really good insight. Yeah, the monthly model, right? The monthly model, and Hearthstone doesn't have that. Yeah, all you have is the battle pass, right? Really, and same with Magic, MTG Arena. You have the battle pass. Now, I think the monetization on MTG Arena is also very well done. I think that user interface is very well done. But yeah, snaps kind of buggy. I'm still learning it, right? I'm pretty new to it, but understanding the currencies and the value that you get, for spending 25 credits to upgrade your guy to be 3D. Like, how much do I care about that? There's some kind of calculation there.
Yeah, it's been really interesting watching. So I have so many thoughts on all of this. So I think in terms of you mentioned about like how the changes have been going in, how they're really listening to the community, changing things that players are wanting, and kind of that comparison, I guess, to Mercenaries, right? Mercenaries was releasing a ton of content, especially in those first 4 to 6 months that it was released, like constantly releasing a bunch of stuff, adding new things. Now, the big difference there is they kind of seem to already have like things that they wanted to add that they were adding, and they weren't adding based on like community feedback or changing things, I think, as quickly as what players were looking for to be changed, right, and addressed. So, Marvel Snap in that perspective has been absolutely fantastic, right? Like, they are on it. Like, if people are like, even in beta, right, they tested some stuff and people were like, that's a terrible monetary thing. No, we don't like that. And then they decided, whoa, hey, people don't like this. This is not something we should do. And they stopped, you know? So like to their credit, they recognized bad. People don't like that. We're not going to do that.
Yeah.
You know, whereas I think for like Mercenaries and some other stuff, it took them a lot longer to even start implementing things that people were wanting, which hurt them in the long run. For me, I know there has been some changes, but for me, I cannot get past how terrible I feel about the freaking collection and how you get cards in Marvel Snap.
It's weird, isn't it?
It's terrible. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Like I stopped playing for several months because I was like, I am literally grinding this all the time, and like in a very short amount of time, I got into like collection 500 something, and it was like, wow, that seems like so cool. And then everyone was like, that was before they even announced, you know, like series 4 or 5 cards. And it was like, oh, I'm not even like gonna be getting all of the cards in this 3 series or pool 3 until I'm like 3,000 something, almost 4,000. What? I'm only 500. And I felt like I was playing non-stop. And for me, that was like such a huge turnoff that I'm like, okay, I don't like the aspect of the whole pay to win and just dump a bunch of money and then you have all the cards and then you can do whatever you want. That's kind of how I've gotten to in Hearthstone. But, you know, I do buy the couple of like pre-purchase bundles and then I usually have a bunch of gold because of how much I play. Whatever. Yeah. But even still, like, I don't know. I don't like the kind of almost opposite approach of like only getting cards by investing time, and then even then it's random on what you're gonna get and all that. Like for me, that was just such a huge turnoff that I didn't want to pursue content with the game. So for me, it was, you know, I do see like a lot of those other content creators, like you said, there have been you know, quite a few content creators who have kind of switched to that for streaming or even for YouTube videos, and it does seem like they have taken off. They've gotten a lot of success from it, and that's amazing. But for me, it's been very difficult, and now almost at this point, I feel so behind, even though I still try to follow the news and stuff, that I did try to stream it. I got a little sponsorship thing through Stream Elements, and I tried it. And I was like, I feel like I'm just losing viewership because I'm so out of the loop. I'm trying to play these decks. I feel like people don't want to watch me as like a freaking potato playing the game, right? Like they want to watch the top decks. They want to watch this stuff. And I'm like,
that's my whole stream.
I'm like,
watch who you're talking to.
Watch me be a potato on Hearthstone Arena.
Yeah. And it's just like, so I guess for me, from my perspective, it's like I see all that success, but
we feel behind, right? I feel behind too.
I feel behind, and I feel like if I am not and I will say this for any card game, to be fair, not just Snap. For card games especially, I feel like I have to be very good at the game for anyone to give a crap about my content. And that is a terrible feeling for one.
And that's like the opposite of my experience, because I'm not good at the game, right?
Okay.
So here's the thing with me. I only play Hearthstone when I stream it. I don't play Hearthstone when I'm not streaming it. Because you get to see a person, you get to see a casual player who doesn't spend every waking hour watching and streaming Hearthstone and playing Hearthstone. So that's kind of like that's something that I can bring to the table and show people, like, you can still play this game. You don't have to, invest all your time and money into it. And if you do, and you are really passionate about it, then you should, by all means. But it's really more of like a learning thing, like I like learning how to play new games. And that was one of the appeals for playing it and streaming it, but you guys have a much longer, richer history of playing Hearthstone than I do. So y'all's perspective is more unique in that sense. And it's interesting. Like, I'm not, I've never been in rank legend in Hearthstone. I've mostly just played arena because I like limited formats the most. And then, you know, Magic to be competitive, you have to be good at every format. You have to be good at constructed. You have to be good at limited. You have to be, you know, you have to have drafting skills. You have to have, meta skills and knowing what your matchups are. You know what I mean? In constructed. So, you know, and to your point, Donnie, you're exactly right. There is, you know, this sense like I have to be top 10 NA for people to watch me, or I have to be one of the best hunter players in the world, like Hatrick or Sidisi, you know. And
Yeah.
but you know, that's one part of it for content creation with Hearthstone. You know, then there's also like your wonderful personality, which I know that you have. So that, you know, there's in Hearthstone, it's weird, man. There's like the really, really try hardy, like, man, if you miss lethal, you're done. And then there's like the just chill, like nice people like Itachi and Don, who just like the game. And, you know, like I feel like there's just two very different elements there, you know, for an audience.
Yeah, I'm similar in that if I'm not good at something, I definitely don't want to stream it. I hardly want to do it. I've had this, I do this thing where like I figure out my affinity for learning something. Like if I feel like I can learn it at a reasonable pace and like it appeals to me and I can like pick it up, then I'm like all over it. So like Magic, I feel like it took me no time to learn and it was very easy to learn, but it didn't appeal to me. Like it didn't feel as fun.
Yeah.
I played an event. I played like an IQ. I won the IQ, and then I was like, that didn't feel good. So I didn't play Magic again. But something like Yu-Gi-Oh! I started off terrible at the game. I was awful. And it was just so fun. But I was learning it quickly. And once I got to be around people who like understood the game, I like picked it up very quickly and then became good at the game. So I stuck with it. But like that even applies to my regular life. Basketball and tennis. I'm great at basketball. I'm terrible at tennis. I don't play tennis. I will not go on a tennis court if I don't have to. But yeah, definitely don't want to stream something and just I feel like I want to give people something while I'm streaming, like be able to teach. I did coaching in Hearthstone. I'm a competitive player by nature. Like that's my persona is a competitive player. So like harder for me to be the casual, like to garner the casual audience because it's just like not my space.
Yeah. And I think, you know, to stream on Twitch and have success on Twitch, it really helps to be really good at whatever you're streaming.
Yeah, if you're a dog, I mean, obviously you're gonna get viewers because people want to see how the hell you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
But like, why do people want to see what I'm doing? Because I'm not dog. If I'm not dog, I'm not that good. Then like, why do they want to watch me? And B, my jokes only get me so far, right? There is a stopping point to jokes.
Oh yeah.
But with Snap, like I watched Educated Collins, who was played Hearthstone Arena for a while, and then moved over to Battlegrounds.
I met Collins.
He was streaming some Snap. Yeah, he's fantastic. So he was streaming some Snap, and I found myself just like letting it play in the background while I did other stuff. And I'd look over, and because the games are so short, I'd be like, "Oh, that was a cool game." Like I can see what happened because all the cards have been played in a certain order. Like you obviously can know what went on. And then looking at the final turns, you can kind of hear his mindset and see what's going on. With Hearthstone, you miss one turn, you out. You don't know what's going on. Yeah. Everything's crazy. I was playing a THL match against Rogue, and I disconnected, and I came back. Everything was different. I didn't know what. And then when you disconnect on Hearthstone and you reconnect, the history bar goes away. You don't know what happened the previous turn. It's just blank.
You know, I will say that is one thing I freaking love from Hearthstone that I wish Marvel Snap had is some sort of little history thing or something, because I will be playing and okay, yes, like anybody listening to the show, hopefully you have learned this by now. I have ADHD. I get distracted very, very easily. Even when I'm focused, I get super distracted real fast. And I will see a card like now I'm drawing a blank on the name. A card that will come down and discard, or the location will get revealed and discard something out of both of our hands. But I miss I'll see that location was revealed, but I missed that really fast what the card was that left my hand.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden I'm like, wait, what just happened? I don't know. Or my opponent will do something that destroys something from my deck, and I'm like, I missed it. What got removed from my deck? Like,
you should be
because
able to
I
click.
feel like that's important.
You should be able to click stuff like that, and then
Yeah,
show
I would
you.
like to. Yeah, I would like to see that. But
Yeah, it should have. They should have something like that where you can
yeah,
click it.
but I
Because
don't
like if
get
something
to see
gets
that.
buffed,
Like,
if something gets buffed, like the power of something gets buffed or the cost changes, if you click the card, it'll show you how.
yeah, it has that little like tracker in the upper right corner, I believe, right? That kind of shows where you got the little buff or that change from. But yeah, if something gets discarded or removed or something, if you don't catch it, and I feel like those animations go incredibly fast, you know, or if I look away, if I'm talking to chat, I'm trying to stream it, I talk to chat, and then I look at my other screen and I'm like, what just happened?
First mistake was talking to chat. Shouldn't have been doing that at all.
Gosh dang it, I guess
should have never been doing that. Shouldn't have been a part of the process.
But like, you know, I think for me, that's kind of why I've also stayed away from it, is because I feel like with Hearthstone, it's a lot easier for me. Like there's more time during the turns where I can interact with chat or do whatever. Like, whereas with Snap, it's like, I have to be very attentive that whole time or I am going to miss something. And, you know, if you're playing and all of a sudden your Spider-Man or your Iron Man or your Infinite are gone and you don't realize it, those are important key cards that like you want to be thinking about. And if you're trying to set up or you're like, oh, cool, I'm going to draw America Chavez on turn 6, but you didn't see that their card destroyed America Chavez from your deck, and then you don't get that, and you were kind of setting up for that, like for turn, you know, on turn 5, and then all of a sudden you don't get it. It's like, wait, what? Like, I don't know. For me, I'm just like, I don't like that. And I feel like that has made me hesitant to do content stuff with it.
All right. So this is related to Snap, but unrelated to like the general topic at hand. You talked about destroying America Chavez, but like, so like Yondu is the 1-drop 2-power that destroys the top card of your opponent's deck. How does that ever destroy America Chavez outside of turn 5? If America Chavez says you always draw this card on turn 6, I don't understand how Yondu can destroy America Chavez because it is never the top card in my deck until turn 5.
Aren't there other cards that destroy stuff from your deck?
There are. I'm just saying that Yondu can destroy. Like if I play a Yondu on 1, it can destroy Chavez, despite Chavez definitely not being the top card of my deck on 1. And I don't understand that interaction. There's a few interactions like that I haven't quite understood. I still have no idea how Onslaught works. Zero idea. When they changed it, I was like, yeah, exactly, whatever.
I don't know. It's kind of interesting too. I think, you know, talking about kind of maybe that decision of, do you go to content with Marvel Snap? Do you know, switch everything? Like you were saying, like, do you commit just some time to doing Marvel Snap content? Do you do all of it as Marvel Snap? I think it being so new and so popular right now in the beginning also is a factor. You know, back when like Hearthstone, even the first like couple of years when Hearthstone was still really new and still drawing in a ton of audience, you know, people came from other games or like people who had a Magic background or Pokemon or whatever, right? They started playing Hearthstone and started doing content and had a huge growth with their audiences, with the content. And I do feel like that is also contributing to a lot of that growth that some of those creators are seeing right now, is just that like newness factor. It's so new. It's kind of like the big hot thing. And maybe that fades off some. You know, I'm sure it's a matter of time before we start seeing the Marvel Snap is dead game meme, because I feel like everybody says that about like every game ever for some reason, especially card games.
I will say that I think Marvel Snap, for you specifically, Dawn, at your collection level, I think Marvel Snap is the best content from collection level 3 on. The reason being is because once you hit collection level 3, everyone's collection level or everyone's collection is different. Though you face people with similar collection levels to you so that like they don't have way more cards or whatever, their cards could be totally different than yours. And so the whole mind game of, does he actually have that card already? Does he have all of these cards already? Like,
Yeah.
is something interesting to play on as you're streaming the game, right? It's like, oh, no way he has like Galactus or what, like, you get what I'm saying? Like, there's no way he has Shuri.
So you want me to know if my opponent has cards that I haven't even earned yet, and I need to know what those cards are.
Well,
What?
The reason being is what I'm saying is if you're into the game, if you're invested in the game and you see people playing these top decks, like you're on Twitter and you see people tweet deck lists or whatever, and you're like, oh, I've seen this deck that plays these cards, but man, that's a lot of Series 3 cards to have. Does he have all of them right now? And it's like an interesting mind game to play, like building a deck. And I built the Surfer deck that I had where I didn't have Brood or whatever. I would play Sarah on 5 and snap, and people would just like instant concede, despite the fact that like the big swing turn is like playing Brood and another 3-drop and then Silver Surfer on 6. I didn't have Brood. I couldn't make that swing turn, but they didn't know that. So just like, so it was interesting to just like watch, to play that mind game of like, you don't know I don't have it. You have no idea.
Yeah. And it's all that net deck mentality, right? Like,
yeah,
I expect you to have
the deck. Yeah, everyone's seen the deck. You've seen the Surfer deck with all the stuff in it. Oh, he's gonna have this, and this on 6. I can't beat that. I drew America Chavez on 6. I ain't got nothing. I've got 9 power for you, buddy. So yeah, I think that's a cool concept. Also, the gameplay in Marvel Snap where there's just it's like a surprise every time. Like every turn feels like a surprise. Like what's gonna happen? Because like your deck is 12 cards, but you're not gonna always draw a curve. There is no mulligan. There's no like trying to get the perfect curve. It's just like you got to draw the deck as you play it. And so it's so much like, oh, no way he had that on 1 and 2, like 1, 2, and 3. Like I feel like it's such a great outlet for content, really, for reaction sake, for clip sake, for talking about new decks. There's always something new coming out, I feel like, because they release content so frequently. I feel like if I want to do content, like if I'm going to jump back into content, Snap is definitely one of the games that I'm probably looking at based on that, especially because I'm in the mid pool 3 collection level. I don't have all the cards. Like I look at decks all the time and I'm like, I can't play all of that. I don't have access to the cards, but you know, that's a part of the fun. Am I going to play somebody with it? Do they have it all? Can I play around it? Like, I think it's all part of the fun. And I think that's what makes it such a good content creation game.
Yeah. Yeah. So to Don's point about it being a fad, yeah, exactly. She's exactly right. Well, fad, when I say fad, I mean, it seems like, and I don't know much about this stuff because I've only been doing it for less than 2 years, but with gaming content, it comes in trends. It looks like all the data suggests that it comes, whatever the trend is, your bigger creators are going to jump on that trend. Battleground's a good example. And Snap is, I think we're seeing that with Snap right now. And yeah, to Itachi's point about longevity, I think the longevity is there. It looks like it is, and it again goes back to Itachi's other point about how it's monetized. And it seems like the monetization is very accessible, at least at the outset. Now, from what I understand, I'm new to Marvel Snap, so I can't just go buy a whole collection, right?
Nope.
Yep. So guess what you can do in Hearthstone and Magic? You can go spend as much money as you want and buy whatever card, buy your Power 9 or buy your, whatever net deck you want to buy if you have the money. You can't do that in Snap, and that is interesting and unique.
It is. Yeah,
but it also,
like I said,
to your point about getting the collection, that's a grind fest. That's and me and Don, we feel like we're behind because I just recently got the time available to invest time into the game. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, in terms of like collection level and earning cards, I actually did like it at the beginning, because you could go into that collection level, and in the early stages, right, that like pool one, pool two, especially one, it shows you what card you're going to be getting. Right, you unlock a
Mm-hmm.
specific card at a specific point. So for
Mhm.
me, I was like, oh, cool. Okay, so like everybody that's gotten to that collection level will have that card. But then once you start getting higher, it becomes just a random card
Yep.
from that pool, and the pools get bigger or whatever, and now they've
And
added
sometimes it's
series
not
4
even a
and 5,
card.
and
Like,
yeah, so it's like, to me that took away, because then I felt like, oh well, now I have no idea what I'm getting. I don't know, there's not a way in game. I have to go search out what the cards even are. So now all of a sudden,
Yeah.
I'm trying to jump into games, I'm trying to play, and then people are playing all these cards. I do love the feature that if you haven't faced a card before, though, it will like bring a whole pop-up thing on the screen, right? And show you like, first time seeing it, and it'll
oh
show
yeah,
you
yeah,
like
I
up
do like
close. So
that.
you
Yeah.
can love that. So then you're like, oh, wow, okay, cool. That's a new thing. Like, again, the ADHD, like it gets my attention, right? It's like very in my face, like, you haven't seen this. Oh, I haven't seen that card. Good. Now I know what it does. But I don't know what those other cards do. And it might be fun, but the more I experience that, the less fun it has become for me.
Mhm.
And like,
Mm-hmm.
every game is like, oh, cool, I'm playing as this card that I haven't seen before. Or, okay, wow, I've experienced that, but like, I have no idea when I'm going to get that card. No clue. They have started adding things in, right? That's like the whole purpose of the token shop and having cards in there, so that people, if you want a specific card, you can work towards getting that specific card. So that's been a good change for sure.
So-
And some of it,
yeah.
like some of my points, I feel like I'm trying to be devil's advocate a little bit here as well.
Yeah.
Just because like I think there is that kind of mindset of just, oh, this is awesome, and people are having a ton of fun with it, and look at all the success these creators have.
Yeah,
Where
but
at the same time, it's like, okay,
it's
but
not in a vacuum.
yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of factors. And even, all of this, right? Even the most popular games, whether it's card games or not, there is an audience for creators and people watching those. And there's an audience that's not going to have an interest in that,
Yeah.
whether it's the creator or people watching it or consuming that content. So,
Mm-hmm.
I like that we're kind of looking at both aspects of this. Like, those creators, there's all these things that like Itachi is pointing out that you've mentioned, Graham, where it's like, these are really appealing things, and for someone who's like, can I beat this? I'm going to think about this. That's super fun. For me, even in Hearthstone, I enjoy new set releases for the first day and a half when I just play whatever. But I am the player, like, I really like knowing what's coming. I really like do well, and I love when it gets to the point in the meta where I can say, okay, my opponent wants to do this, and I can do this, and then you can kind of manipulate from that point. But when I have no idea what card my opponent's going to be playing because I haven't even unlocked that card yet, for me, that's not fun.
Yeah, so it's like the constructed versus the limited mentality. And in limited,
Yeah.
They give me six packs of Magic, or I play a run of Hearthstone Arena. I don't know what I'm going to get. And so, like, that's, to me, like, that's like a whole nother part of card gaming where, it's, and way back in the day in the 90s, to Itachi's point about, you don't know what your opponent's going to play in Snap. But back in the 90s, if I'm playing Magic, the internet wasn't giving me spoilers, about what, Invasion or Apocalypse or whatever Magic set I'm competing in. So I see a card that I've not seen before because it literally just came out, and I'm excited. Everyone else is excited, and so like we just because we've never seen this card. Now, whether you have it in the internet and net decking and everything, everyone knows. I know what this deck is going to have probably because everyone has access to the cards, and Snap they don't. But there's a lot of skill involved with what Donnie's saying about knowing what your opponent is very likely to do statistically and being able to respond accordingly. Versus in limited, you give me a bunch of stuff, I've got to do the best I can with it.
Yeah, and you've got no idea what I've got.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's audience for both.
So really what we're saying is, I think for me, I need a Marvel Snap draft mode to try out to see how that goes, or like a limited draft pool where we all draft from the same at least set of cards, so I know what cards
Oh.
people could have.
I
Okay.
would be so down for that.
Let's
That'd be
go.
so
So
good.
I think that actually, I don't know if that, I don't want to say that that's been like in development or anything, but the person who's been teaching me how to play Snap, there's like a limited Marvel Snap Draftinator, and I can link this. It's just www.marvelsnapdraft.com, and there is like a way to do it. I haven't started it yet, but he sent me a link on that. So if that's ever in the pipeline, that'd be very interesting as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, I guess ultimately for me, it feels like the ways that I can play are extremely limited. I will say, like for Hearthstone, even, I played a ton of Arena a long time ago. I got very into Arena at one point. I've tried duels, like I've tried all the modes. You know, I mentioned earlier, like even the content stuff. I got very into Mercenaries. Like, you know, I've done Battlegrounds, even casting. I love Battlegrounds. You know, have some more casting coming up at the beginning of March.
Do you?
for some Battlegrounds.
Are you going to do the Lobby Legends?
Oh no, I wish. It's Supergirl Gamer Pro.
Oh, okay, cool.
So, pretty excited for that.
You
know,
should
so,
be
like,
on
I
Lobby
love-
Legends. You would do great.
Oh my gosh. I appreciate that. I feel like I'm not high enough caliber of player for that. Like, yeah, I guess.
I disagree.
Well, thank you.
I disagree as well. But
I think one thing that really would, from my perspective of doing content, doing a lot of card game content, is I would love to have access to more modes. I did stream that battle mode, and even though it still was kind of the same thing, I got to play against the same opponent with the same deck 2 like minimum times, right? But you have multiple rounds versus the same, like you just lock in your single deck. So after the first game or 2, I kind of did know what my opponent was playing in that. And for me, I liked that. So, you know, more modes, I think, in any game is always good. And that also does appeal to more content creation, right? You can lean into a certain mode, or you know, being multifaceted and learning all of the modes, you know, trying out all of that stuff. So, you know, content creation is a whole beast on its own. Card games are a whole beast on their own. And then trying to put them all together is just a bunch of nonsense where we all fake it. Nobody really knows what they're doing, but we like to
Story
think
of
that
my
we
life.
do. Yeah.
Story of my life.
I think that's also called adulthood, but you know, being an adult, nobody knows what's going on. We all just pretend. So yeah, I'm really interested to like keep in touch with it and see like what else comes out and see what other ways that I could approach Marvel Snap. You know, I definitely don't want to be like, I'm never gonna stream it or do content. Like, you know, I'm
Yeah.
always open to that. But what I have tried to do, I feel like was not very good for me, and probably didn't go through for my audience as well. So, you know, some people have had huge success. That's been awesome to see.
Yeah, the Hearthstone viewers want to watch Hearthstone. They don't, you know. I've been fortunate enough to get, like, you know, build a community where, you know, it's not only Hearthstone, you know, that like with the animals and the, you know, Magic and Pokemon and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
but yeah, man, you know, Hearthstone viewers want to watch Hearthstone. They just do. That's what they want.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, do we have anything else that we want to add for that topic? I think that's a great discussion. Thank you for the topic idea, Graham.
Oh, don't give me any credit.
It was your idea. You came up with it.
It was all you. It was all you.
I mean, but I know you guys also wanted to talk about. I'm not gonna go on too big of a tangent here, but you know, doing things outside of Twitch, outside of streaming, outside of YouTube. You know, I mentioned TikTok. I mean, so you know, real quick, TikTok. Definitely want to have a presence on TikTok, regardless of what you're doing. YouTube Shorts, TikTok. I got partnered on YouTube at the end of last year, largely in part because of YouTube Shorts.
Even Facebook Reels. Don't know if you've been into that, but Facebook Reels are a pretty legitimate source of content creation as well.
Oh yeah. Short form content is really kind of at the forefront, and that's I guess if you're in the space, you're doing it full time. Even if you're doing it like me for fun, if you want to build a community or build more of your community, then I've met a lot of people through the short form stuff in the last 3 months that have joined the community. So that's definitely something that I would advise any aspiring content creator to be doing regularly.
I gotta put on my editing chops to start creating some of that short form content.
It's really, man, there's not much to it. You can do it all on your phone. And if you have the video of whatever it is on your phone, man, it's like that. I've got shorts being produced every 4 to 6 hours on YouTube.
Wow.
Yeah. It is that simple. No, there's a learning curve, but it's nothing crazy. It's nothing crazy. Yeah, I know you guys mentioned that earlier in the show, so I just wanted to make sure that if there are any content creators listening to this, to definitely check out the short form stuff.
100%. He's 100% correct. Me and wife have been looking to that as well. So you are not wrong by any means.
And so one additional thing, real quick. Itachi mentioned earlier about the vertical gameplay on your phone. So horizontal versus vertical, right? Same thing goes for streaming. So I've been streaming a decent amount on TikTok, vertical streaming. Twitch I think they just changed theirs to being vertical. That is such a good way to stream. In your phone's camera, my phone's camera's got 26 times better resolution than my little lame $100 Logitech camera right up here. So everything that I show, all the animals, I'll feed the animals on stream on TikTok, or and it just looks so good. You just do it right from your phone, just like that. So that's a whole nother thing. Streaming on TikTok is a thing. It really is. I couldn't believe it, but I've had a lot of growth on TikTok because of it. So that's another thing you should check out.
Love it.
You won't catch no arguments from me.
Yeah. Nope. Hands down, 100% agree. It's the place to do it. I think there's also a lot of information and recommendations from a lot of like big popular content creators, like producers, even big podcasters, all that stuff of like creating even like long form content and then chunking it down and posting it in that short form, posting little pieces, little clips of, an hour-long interview. You take just a minute and a half of that interview and post it to all those short form places. It's incredible to see this like transformation and how quickly things are moving. But I think, speaking of quick, should we move into our lightning round?
Oh, yes, indeed. We'll jump into that lightning round real quick before we wrap up. So, as we talked about before the show, the lightning round is a quick 4 to 5 questions, just your gut reaction. Tell us what you think. Don't even think about it. First question coming at you quick. If you were a card from any of the card games you've played, what card would you be?
Oh, man. You Birds of Paradise from Magic. I want to make any mana, just got it, dude.
I've got one of those somewhere behind me, actually, in one of these boxes.
No, that's such a hard question. Like, seriously, like Birds of Paradise, though.
Awesome. All right. Well, next question is, what is your favorite type or archetype of deck to play?
Oh my God. Well, it depends on the card game. Are you asking me or are you asking both of us?
No, just for
me.
You.
Oh, okay. Oh, snap. I'm on the spot. Okay. So it's weird. So in Magic, I love control decks and there's a legit control, like, I like knowing how many cards are in my opponent's hand. I like knowing what my opponent has. I like manipulating what they have and what they can play and getting to the point where I just have everything on lock. Maybe it's more of a psychological thing, But that's Magic. In Hearthstone, I like going face.
Okay.
So I like Hunter. Give me Hunter. Hunter's my class. I like just let's just beat him quickly so I can go talk to chat. You know?
I like it. What's one goal you have for yourself before it's all said and done?
Oh, for what?
Just as a card game player.
Oh, as a card game player, man, I think my biggest goal is just making a good community. You know, and I think that you know we've really achieved that in the last 22 months. Making a really good community, a lot of interesting people that you know that bring a lot to the table with respect to just gaming in general and just life, you know, outside of gaming. With respect to competitive, you know, because I work full time as an electrical engineer, man, it's hard. It's really hard for me to dedicate a ton of hours to getting really, really, really good at whatever meta of whatever card game I want to get good at. Dude, if I was a multimillionaire, I'd probably be playing Magic right now, just competitive, just like, you know, seriously, just learn, you know, memorizing everything in all for one, you know, playing the mechanics and typing, trying out deck archetypes, because Magic has a massive competitive scene. Hearthstone, I think they did before. Before this great GM thing and YouTube. I don't know the history of that, but yeah, I think you know, overall lightning round goal, you know, make a good community, and we're still working on that. And that's the most fun thing about it, right? I got to meet Don. I got to meet Itachi. Like, I get to be hanging out with you guys on a Thursday night. Like, that's the coolest thing in the world, man.
Heck yeah.
So, you know.
That's amazing. I always shocked with with the amount of people we get to interact with.
Same.
Yeah. All right. This one is tough. I feel like we always have mixed answers with this. Do you prefer physical or digital cards?
Physical. And that's just because I think that's just how I got into it, and I've done for over 2 decades. I've played physical card games for over 2 decades. I've played digital card games for almost 2 years. However,
quite a big difference.
However, with the advent of COVID and, you know, what happened there, like the ability to play digitally has just so convenient and nice, and I don't have to get a table flung at me. That never happened. But
that's good.
But no, like it's a double-edged sword, because you do miss that human interaction. You know, Magic will always be a you know, dominated by being a physical card game. I mean, remember the WoW TCG? Like,
oh, I remember plenty of people hollering out Leroy Jenkins in the convention center.
But see, that one didn't last. In a lot of these card games, everyone wants to be Magic, and you just can't. You know, you just can't. And like, Magic became $1 billion brand last year. That's crazy. Is Hearthstone $1 billion brand? Probably not. Probably
no, not Hearthstone alone. No way.
So, you know, that physical aspect of it, you know, the gathering of, you know, that has always been the most fun part of card games, getting to interact with people. And that's probably why, like, my favorite thing about content creation with card games is I get to interact with lovely people like y'all.
No, I appreciate that. So I got a surprise question for you. Something that's not on there. What is your favorite card in Marvel Snap specifically, since that's what we talked about?
Dude, I'm new, right? But man, I love Mr. Fantastic on 3. And like, that's new, right? That's way new. So like, Mr. Fantastic.
Really? If I'm being honest, people don't put enough respect on Reed Richards' name, man. Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic is really good in that game. 3 mana for 6 power is kind of a lot. I mean, people take it for granted, but it's a lot.
Yeah. That, you know, but I you know, that card just, I haven't lost a lot of games. I'm not even in silver yet though, so I'm like new.
Oh, I don't even focus on the grind. I don't pay attention to where I get anymore, just because you fall back 30 ranks at the end of the month. I don't spend a lot of time on it, so I just play for the fun.
Yeah.
But since we want to watch you play, we want to watch you play Hearthstone, we want to watch you play Magic, we want to watch you play all these games, tell our guests exactly where we can find you.
Oh man, it's just you can find me on all platforms: Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch. Just TarantulaGraham.
TarantulaGraham everywhere. I doubt it's a name that's hard to procure. Usually I type my name in and there have been 7,000 combinations of it. I'm sure
Itachi.
TarantulaGraham's a lot easier to get. Yeah.
Itachi.
Yeah. So many people take that name. I actually tried to buy, there's a guy on Twitter with the name just Itachi. And he is inactive. He's been inactive for years. And I was like, I'll buy the name. Just let me have it. Get off of it.
Get Musk on it, dude.
But he won't do it. Yeah, I'm trying to get Elon. But Graham, really thank you for joining us this week. You've been a fantastic person to meet. We'll definitely have to chat some more. We got a lot to talk about. And thank you, listeners, for joining us this week. And if you or anyone else you know would be interested in joining the Roundtable podcast, you can pick the topic just like Graham did. Reach out to us. You can find us at TCCG Roundtable at protonmail.com for email. You can follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/TCCG Roundtable. Use our top pinned tweet for a link to our Discord. Come in, talk to us, chat with us, or use the link in the description/show notes. Check out the video version on Dragon Rider's personal YouTube at youtube.com/dragonridertccg. We are everywhere you can find audio podcasts, Spotify, Apple Music, and also we've got an Inked Gaming affiliate link. I've got some products coming from there. Hopefully they come out pretty cool. Check out our Inked Gaming affiliate link. Help support the podcast. Help us keep making you entertained. And you can find us individually. Myself on Twitch at Itachi_HS. I don't stream much, so good luck finding me on there for real. But you can find me on Twitter, on twitter.com/ItachiHS. You can find Dragon Rider at twitter.com/DonnieDK. And we would like to find you at the Roundtable next week.
Thanks everyone who hung out in the chat.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you. All right, I will end us live here.